At Grizzly, we believe charging your electric vehicle should be simple, reliable, and affordable. That's why we design, engineer, and build our chargers in Canada, ensuring top-tier quality and performance. Powered by United Chargers, every Grizzly model is crafted in-house, built to withstand extreme conditions, and tested for reliability. Recognized by leading publications for its performance and value, Grizzly delivers both durability and intelligence with heavy-duty aluminum enclosures, premium output cables, and smart charging features like scheduling, usage tracking, and OCPP compatibility with multiple charging apps. Grizzly, simple, reliable, affordable, built for every climate, every EV, everywhere you go. Visit grizzly.com to learn more.
Hello and welcome to the Batteries Included podcast. It's Thursday, February 26th, episode 128 if you're keeping count. Today, driving the upgraded Polestar 3 and the Polestar 4. The first donut battery is tested and doesn't clear much up. And whether Tesla Cybertruck's new trim can save it from the chopping block. And of course, much, much more. I'm your host, Martyn Lee from the EV News Daily podcast. Joining us today is the august Mr. Tom Moloughney, host of YouTube State of Charge and the premier EV charging news site, evchargingstations.com. Kyle Connor is with us today from the majestic, practically palatial halls of Outer Spec Studios. And Domenick Yoney, longtime EV journalist and host of the YouTube channel Drive Electric with Domenick. If we were doing this just 24 hours difference, I think we'd come from 4 different countries, but we just about managed to get a couple of you in the same time zone, sort of. Let's talk about some of the weather that you've had in the US, though. We'll talk about driving in a moment, but Tom, you seem to have found a new niche. Tom, you seem to be getting millions and millions of social media views with the Snowblower. Your recent promotion from being called Jersey Man, now they're calling you Chester Homeowner. And so the Northeast got walloped by snow over the weekend. So out came Yarbo, the robotic snowblower. Once again, you are blowing up online with the Yarbo ice capades. What's happened now?
Yeah, it's bittersweet. I love that I'm getting all these views, getting followers, subscribers, and everything. But damn it, couldn't it be for electric vehicle stuff? But you take whatever comes your way. So, the first one we did a few weeks ago blew up so much, 7 million views and all this stuff. I said, I got to do another one now that we had this major nor'easter bomb cyclone that hit the East Coast. We didn't get it as bad as some of the shore communities did, because the East Coast got it worse than inland. I'm about 50 miles inland, but we got about 14 inches of heavy, wet snow. So I did another review of the Yarbo. I set it out when the storm started. That's the way you do it with these autonomous things. You wait till you get about an inch or two, you set it out, and you just let it keep running, then going back to the charging dock, recharging, going back out to do the work. It pretty much ran all night, which was great. I started at about 8 o'clock at night. It pretty much ran all night. But then in the morning, it started to get warmer, and the snow started melting as it stopped. And the thing hadn't finished its job yet. It did maybe 70, 80% of the work. And what happened was, once it started melting, we were getting like an inch of slush on the bottom of the snow, and it just kept clogging the chute. The Yarbo has like a smaller diameter chute than a snowblower, maybe like a 4.5 inch diameter chute, whereas like my big snowblower has like a 7-inch diameter chute. So the slush was getting clogged in the chute, and it ended up stopping it. It really couldn't finish the job. So the thing is, this was about as bad a storm as I'll ever get here, and my driveway is almost unfair. That's why I agreed to review this. I have 6,000 square feet of driveway, 300 feet long. It's probably the edge case of what this thing can handle. And having the combination of this monster storm with the driveway being so big, it wasn't able to finish the job. So I made another review video on it, and We'll see. We're supposed to get another snowstorm next week. I think I'm going to put the plow on it because it has a plow attachment and let it plow instead of snowblow and see how that works out. Look, the videos are doing great. I'm gaining a lot of new subscribers because people are new to the channel with the snowblower stuff. I guess I got to lean into it. You know, I'm not giving up my EV charger reviews and stuff, but this is a hot button right now. So, hey, you got to roll with it, right?
Yeah, snowblowerguy.com or something. That is a different website. Let's move on. The Polestar 3 began reaching customers in the United States last June. Then in November, in 2024, in November, they moved the production from China to the Ridgeville, South Carolina facility. And even though, much like its cousin, the Volvo EX90, very premium vehicle, you would expect those things to roll off the line fully baked. It's had some issues. It's also getting a makeover as well. Serious architectural makeover, 400 to 800 volt kind of thing. New battery, new motors, and a big upgraded computer chip, 8 times more capable. So that comes in the summer, the Polestar 3. But the current one has the new processing power. Now, Kyle, you drove this. And when it first came out, and now you and Scott got to spend some time with the upgraded Polestar 3. Are they kind of internal computer things enough to fix the Polestar 3, or should people hold off until the summer? What did you think?
Well, so on your note about the high voltage cars, I just saw a post and I posted on X like right before we did the show. First deliveries have started of the high voltage Polestar 3s.
Really?
In the UK. So I don't know if those are from China or from South Carolina, but
China.
Yeah. Okay. So then the Chinese ones have reached the end destination being the customer. That's exciting.
Okay. So I think I get to see that in a couple of weeks' time. They're having an open event day, so I'm not going to see it till then. I think it's 2 or 3 weeks away. They're having a driving day they called it, the new one. So it's only about 30 miles from me. So I'll go and check it out. But what did you make of the updated one that you got to drive?
Yeah, so what Polestar is doing, and Volvo for EX90, same program either way, is they take their base level 30 tops NVIDIA Drive AGX Xavier chip, and they're upgrading it to the NVIDIA Drive AGX Orin chip, which is 230, 250 tops. So it's like 8 or 9 times improvement, which is awesome to see. And essentially, what this does is it allows future software updates to come to the existing models. And it means that the entire software development teams only have to develop for one chip. It's the same chip that's going in the EX60 and so on and so forth. So a lot of the architectural, I would say, structure is very similar between SPA 2 upgraded, which is going to be the high voltage Polestar 3 and EX90, and SPA 3 can now be shared across that same chip with the early single model year only old ones. Guys, I really think they messed this up because how can you launch a car that's low voltage with a completely different powertrain system, a completely different powertrain logic where the old one's primarily front wheel drive where the rear motor kicks in with a clutch. The new one is primarily rear drive and then the front motor kicks in. How can you do that after one model year? What they really should have done was just wait, get the thing actually dialed, not develop 2 vehicles at the same time, and then produce the one solid offering. And you know what? It was a disaster for them. These early cars had an insanely hard time launching, from bugginess, from access control being bad, to them just literally not working, onboard chargers failing left and right. That's still a problem on them. And so I can't believe such a safety conscious brand, Volvo and Polestar, would go out of their way to make such an unbaked product. With that said, them upgrading the chip and still supporting the previous cars is commendable, and it does seem to be better. I will say we drove this car around. From the user perspective, there's not much improvement that you can see. A little bit of snappiness on the screen. Some users I found on the forums report much better phone key access. The car wakes up and unlocks immediately. With all that said, the car still went into turtle mode when we drove it. It did clear itself, but it hit turtle mode and then woke back up. We were doing some clutch connecting tests anyway, so hard to say, but they're not fully baked yet, I would say.
Yeah, that reminds me of Volvo with the Luminar issue and the LiDAR on the EX90, which they took off after it seems like a few months. Maybe it was longer because often cars come out and I forget how long they've been out. But the EX90 is shipped with the little taxi hump, the LiDAR that all the Chinese cars comes with. And then they said, well, supply problems, and then a little more news came out, which is the issues with Luminar there, and they pulled out of that contract. And now I can't work out for the life of me, because you can get the cars with or without the LiDAR hump, I think, because you're being contacted by Volvo when you get an EX90, if they still make the vehicle like that, but there's nothing inside that unit. It just sits there with a piece of plastic over the front of it. And then the early ones, that if you were lucky enough to get one of the first ones with LiDAR, does it work? So obviously you've got cameras, ultrasonics, and the radars that come with the car. And as you say, Volvo's about safety. But even if it has the LiDAR unit inside it, is it even activated? Or do they just draw a line underneath that software development and go, well, we won't do LiDAR anymore because they've cancelled it? So it's been a real mess. I'm sure they would admit it's not been ideal.
Yeah, those are all good questions that we should follow up with and potentially just make a little episode on what's going on with EX90 LiDAR, because I had not heard that I thought all the cars with the taxi thing had the hardware in them. And then they were being used in the sense that they were using power, because I fried my cell phone camera with it.
Oh, no.
So we know they were on.
Mm.
Whether or not they were actually being used for anything, we don't know. But that's the thing. This is Volvo. They're supposed to be kind of the boring, safety, just reliable brand. And the EX90 and EX30 both launched without any of that in mind. I mean, the EX30 completely broke down on me. That was an isolated incident that I had, of course, but I was going around a corner and it just died, all power loss. You know, and problems happen across any car, but it just seemed like an absurd amount on EX30 and EX90. Now, I was just with EX30 this past weekend. We'll talk about it later. Totally rock solid. New generation EX90. I was with Volvo. They said, you're going to love it. It's totally baked. It's awesome. We'll have to wait and see, of course. But that it sounds like they finally got their you-know-what together.
Yeah. Polestar 4 has been out a long time over here. Coupe crossover without the rear window, which people make far too big a deal about. It just works fine. You can get some cars with rear windows that also have a camera as a rear view mirror, just because it's different functionality. So it's fine, get over it. But they are putting the window back in with the wagon version. That comes by the end of the year. Much more affordable as well, starting at mid-50s. And actually, I've seen them really cheap over here now. They've been out a year and that depreciation has kicked in. You've had the Polestar 4 long range single motor, 310 miles, 7 seconds 0 to 60. Is that right? The spec you had? What did you make of it?
No, I had the dual motor one.
So you had dual motor. Okay.
Yep. It's like 280 something miles EPA.
Yep.
But did quite a bit of testing, drove it for a whole weekend. Guys, I like the Polestar 4 a lot. It's the closest thing you can get to a Chinese car in the US. It's EX30 is same platform, SEA, just different sizes and content in them. But Polestar 4 has some of the like cool Chinese car stuff. I mean, it has dog mode, it has phone as a key, it's got all the stuff you would want to expect to have. It's got great lane centering. Like, it tries to go around roundabouts and stuff. It's nowhere near as good as Tesla, but at least on the highway, you can rely on that, which you can't really do on Polestar 3. And so going from Polestar 3 to Polestar 4 felt like I was jumping 5 years into the future driving this car compared to the old Polestar 3. It's not as comfortable. It's not as premium maybe, but it's the one I would go for any day of the week over the 3 just because of the tech. And I really like the way it drives. It's not tuned perfectly. It does some odd stuff. The suspension's a little porpoisey, but overall it's very quiet. It's very comfortable, and it's really quick. I mean, it's like mid 3 second, 3.7, 0 to 60. And so that was fine. Colton and I were blown away with that. Charging it was not so great. You know, what's crazy to me is that, all the viewers of this channel will tell me 200 kilowatts is awesome charging performance. That's all they need. Guess what? You can buy this one. It's like takes forever to charge in my world. You guys will love it. But in my perspective is, if you look at a Zeekr 001, which is the identical car underneath, It charges at 550 kilowatts and it goes 10 to 80 in 9 minutes. This charges at 200 kilowatts and goes 10 to 80 in like 30 minutes. And same car underneath. We just get the kind of crappy version. Other than that, awesome car. Really awesome car. There was a charging bug, by the way. How nerdy do we want to get? Because I found kind of a super obscure problem with it.
I know we want to go super obscure. We like that.
All right. So hopefully the viewers can follow along with this. When you plug a car into a charging station, there's something called charge parameter discovery, which is part of the handshake. And this is where the car communicates what it is essentially its maximum theoretical limits are during the charging session. This is where you say, hey, I can take 500 amps at 100% max. I can up to 480 volts. It may never ever get there, but that's what it tells the charger. So the charger can configure itself into a low voltage or high voltage mode, or, allocate certain number of power modules to it versus another car if it has to split power. It's just a standard ISO 15118 charge parameter discovery situation. This car communicates, hey, I only want 400 amps maximum. And then after it starts charging, it goes, actually, now I want 500. So when you plug it into a charger that actually follows the standard, like Alpitronic chargers, during the handshake, the car says 400 amps, which means the charger will only ever give it 400 amps. So you get 160, 170 kilowatt charging peak on Alpitronics and many other chargers that follow the standard. Superchargers ignore this. And so superchargers can go up to 200 kilowatts with this car, no problem, but it is out of spec. Fun. Anyway, I was like trying to do 10% challenge and charging tests on Alpitronic chargers. And I'm like, I saw Bjorn charge this thing at 200 kilowatts. Why isn't it doing there? And so big shout out to my friends at Mercedes-Benz Charging Network and Alpitronic for like helping me get the logs on this thing so I can show, hey, it's only asking for 400 amps. The charger's never going to give you more. I sent a detailed note over to Polestar, who then hopefully forwarded it to engineering, and then they'll fix the charging for all customer cars. My understanding is Polestar 4 is still relatively new in the US. The Denver location said they delivered about 10 or 15 of them so far. So it's very fresh here. And so that seems like a simple over-the-air update, but a fun one, that because it kept pissing me off that it wouldn't charge. I'm like, how do you launch a car in a market and not know that that's a problem? But that's just happened.
Yeah.
So is this one 400 volts?
Yes.
Okay.
So they
we have a viewer. MB. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was Kyle. Let's just staying up on the charging. So Kyle, I wonder, they must not have ever sent any of their cars to the companies like IONNA where they do the testing, Electrify America, because any of those companies testing it before launch would have reported that back to Polestar and said, fix this. And it's up to the company to contact the charging networks and say, look, we have these new cars. Could we send you one just to make sure it's compatible on your network? So, that's kind of a ding on Polestar, in my opinion, that they couldn't shoot a couple of cars over to, EVgo and ChargePoint and IONNA and Electrify America just to make sure there's no compatibility issues.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's still more testing to be done. I did 3 separate charges on 2 different Alpitronic chargers. It's possible the car was in a weird state during that time. Like it's nothing's definitive. We're all just testing, but that's what it appeared like. And it just seems like such a simple thing that a general consumer would never think. They'd be like, okay, I'm getting good charging, but there's still 100 amps on the table that's just sitting there because you didn't get the charge parameter discovery metrics right. Hopefully they get that dialed in. It just, other than the high power charging. Oh, another weird thing, Tom, you'll like this. The onboard charger AC capacity of this is 45 amps. Have you ever seen a 45 amp onboard charger?
No.
40
or 48.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's not bad. Yeah. It's just awkward. An awkward number.
That's unusual.
Yes, that's all it is. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's like the iX3 will be 62 amps, I believe, or 63 amps.
And no one will ever notice, because the voltage in like my voltage in my house will go from 225 volts up to 250. So, you know, my charging speed is going to go up and down anyway. So, you know, it's either the volts or the amps are going to affect what your ultimate charging rate is. And people at home, people on level 2 basically pretty much plug it in and walk away. They don't pay attention. And as long as it's not unusually long, and those 3 amps will not make a difference.
Oh, no. I've just never seen
that is interesting. Yeah.
That number.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the car. It had dog mode, keep climate, nice lane centering, good looks from the front. The back's pretty ugly. The rear window thing never bothered me. I would have preferred to have glass back there, but it's fine. You use the glass side mirrors. But my friend Sasha had one recently, and I saw her article in Forbes, and she hated not having the back glass. And I kind of agree. I don't like digital rear view mirrors in the sense that the analogy I always come back to is if there's a Ford Explorer behind you, I want to know if it's a mom driving her kids to school or a police interceptor. I want to see the lights in the dash. And you never get that granularity with the digital camera in the back. Honestly, you could use your side view mirrors to get contextual awareness of stuff like that. No problem. If they make a wagon version of this and it's high voltage, that will clearly be my next car. I loved this thing so much. I think it's just such a cool vehicle.
We didn't talk at all about the appearance. I love how it looks. What do you guys think of how it looks? I mean, I think it rocks, especially the front end. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, I think the whole family look really good. We were at IKEA last week in Southampton, and IKEA looks over because all the Teslas come into the UK in Southampton, maybe Bristol, but certainly thousands of Teslas. I was on the 4th floor of IKEA having my meatballs. And then from there, you're a stone's throw away from Polestar as well. They've got a massive Polestar space outdoors, which is just a big, dark grey cube of a building, very Scandi. And then you look over from Tesla to over that, and you think, that's probably the difference between the two brands. Like, Tesla's selling a ton, but what you see is pretty much what you get. Whereas Polestar would love to sell a few more cars, but I think they've dialed in the family look, just the Volvo resemblance, the materials, the kind of essence of the car, which, you know, for different people matters different amounts, but I really like it. And yeah, it was hard not to walk over there and spend some money in my head, but I was with the family, so it wasn't to be done. I think these cars look great, really well designed.
I like the 3 a little bit better. I love, of course, all the Polestars I think that have always looked great, but I think I like the 3 better. And Kyle, would you not get the 3 over the wagon that's coming up, I think, later this year of the Polestar 4?
It depends. I mean, having dog mode's a real big seller, and also the lane centering in this being way better than the 3's a real big seller. If they can get all their cars on the same like platform, or at least electrical platform, maybe then it would be an easier sell. The 3 has a much higher quality ride to it. I mean, having that air suspension and the tuning, it's way better. And the 3 feels a bit more me. You get the big Bowers and Wilkins sound system. It is like driving a bank vault. It's a really nice, you know, luxury vehicle. This Polestar 4 is not luxury, but it is techie in the sense where it's like, whoa, finally, like a great Model 3 alternative. Like, you go to Ioniq 6 and it kind of feels a bit plasticky. And every time I get in those, I'm like, I'm going downhill. But this is like, whoa, nicer than Model 3, and like big screen that's responsive with good route planning and really nice integration of CarPlay. I'm normally a CarPlay hater, but in this, it worked pretty well for me. I really enjoyed it. The problem really comes down to, in my true opinion, and I know a lot of people don't like FSD. You can buy a Tesla that drives itself everywhere today with supervision, or you get this and you gotta like work to drive around. And for a daily commuter car, that is the biggest difference in the world right now.
Yeah. So what about the price of this compared to those other cars? You know, like the Tesla Model 3, this is a bit pricier, right? It should be a bit better as far as like interior materials.
Very similar, like maybe a bit more, but on the lease, this had a pretty good lease offer on it. They're all 10 grand off. So these are $41,000 base. And they're maybe like 12 off, I heard, at the dealer, because they are direct to consumer. They are not direct to consumer. So the dealers have wiggle room. So Polestar Denver is our local store, and they're like, the national offers 10 off, but we can do probably 12 and massage that a bit.
Nice.
Well, that's not bad. So it starts at officially 56.4 for the single motor version, basically. So you're saying there's a 10 grand off of that?
Yeah, it should go when you go to build and price. It says it in the configurator automatically for the US site.
That's cool.
Oh, this is not the US site, right?
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's move on. We will talk a new Cybertruck deal soon, and more from this donut battery. Well, Dom's been looking into it. But before we do that, let's talk about the Volvo EX30. This time, cross-country on ice. Generally, the EX30 seems to be sorted out. Big caveat here, in that almost a quarter of them are currently being recalled because the owners, Geely, have an investment, I think, in Sunwoda, or at least the joint venture. I won't speak out of turn for fear of getting it wrong. But either way, Sunwoda and the Chinese battery firm that make the packs have come to a deal now. It went to court for a period of time in China, and they've settled out of court. All those modules will be replaced free of charge. It's a huge, huge bloody nose for Volvo. Not their fault. A supplier issue to do with, I'm going to get this wrong as well, lithium plating of some kind. It's very, very rare, but they're telling Volvo EX30 owners, don't park it near your home and only charge you 70%. This is Bolt all over again. It's embarrassing, and it's the last thing they needed. They want us to be talking about this EX30 cross-country on ice in Canada with you doing your thing, but we have to mention that as well. So, yeah, that's it's not great for Volvo.
I was reading there was I think there were like 40 cars in the US that were affected by that recall, by the way.
Is that all in the US? So different battery supplier.
It was a different group or something, but I don't know. I think in the Inside EVs article they mentioned like so far at least they're recalling like 40 of the cars that were sold in the US.
So these 40 in the US are confirmed, but 168 or somewhere around there have to be checked.
So these were early build cars, and I'm presuming the US was not as early as China and Europe then. So that makes sense. Yeah. So you had a different, and it's the same pack that's going in. So they've identified the problem. They're not using a different supplier. They have complete confidence in the fix, but that's why, because you guys had to wait for the car, so you've dodged it. Good. Anyway, right, cross country. What did you think?
Oh, one last point on the fire situation.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Volvo is, like we mentioned in this podcast already, supposed to be the confidence, safety-oriented brand. This is the brand you recommend to your parents, to your grandparents, to your kids if you want a safe, reliable vehicle. That is what they built their entire brand reputation on. And that the fact that they just catch fire, or at least the perception of them could catch fire, is a real problem. And that is not a good situation for Volvo from a perception standpoint. Thankfully, in the US, we don't really have to worry about this because, again, like Dom mentioned, it's just a sampling of early vehicles that came through, and it's not really a problem here. But, of course, the news media will spread it, and that's something Volvo can't they just need to get their product launches right from here on out. EX60 cannot launch with bugs. This car has to be dialed in. EX60 is using the same supplier for cells, by the way. The P8 and P10 use Sunwoda cells. It's only the P12 that will get the CATL cells. And let's just hope all of those different battery packs and different configurations are dialed in and safe, and there's no recalls, and they can have what Volvo owners expect, which is a reliable, safe vehicle. That's what we're rooting for here, because they've built some great products. They just really have not finished them when they delivered them.
Yeah, you can't be telling people don't park cars near your house. And you're like,
it's Bolt and Kona all over again. And we actually are working on a story on our side to go through all of the like major recalls, because there's a ton brands have recalled over the years. And man, it's rough building cars, but like this has to stop. This whole like major safety situations.
Yeah, completely.
EX30 cross country on a much more positive note. I went to Canada because Volvo said we can come slide around their EX30 cross country. And I was ice track and a 400 horsepower hot hatch with an ESC off button. I'm coming. And so I went for the world's shortest trip where I literally landed, drove the car, came home. And so I'm already back in the US now. Because it was more of an influencer trip, if I'm honest.
Okay.
There's a lot of Instagram creators who were really nice people, and I learned a ton about short form content. But they're more like filming the experience, and I'm like, all right, let's go see if we can slide it. I want to test the car.
Yeah.
It's all good. It just wasn't my type of event, but I'm really thankful that they were like, hey, Kyle probably wants to come rip this thing around. Come and do that.
Absolutely.
I also have never seen up close or driven the EX30 cross country. So that was my first opportunity to have a go in this car. And I shot a whole first experience video with it.
Is it mechanically different?
Yes, it is actually completely different suspension, raised and softened. Now I only drove it on the ice, so I can't comment on that because it was sliding the whole time. Couple little bumps, felt good. There is some skid plates underneath. I did not test them, but I was riding in a car where we thoroughly tested the skid plates a couple times. Just sent it through a couple snowbanks with some of my friends driving, which was a blast. And Volvo was very upset about that happening. But
sorry,
I don't know why you crashed on a snow course. Whoa, nothing was damaged.
You said it was an influencer event.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that type of influencer driving that day, but it was fun. Everyone was having a good time. Except the event organizers that were slightly stressed with when we went out there. But that's the way it should be. Then the EX30 cross country has like their own colorways for the interior. It's just kind of the off-roady-ish version. You do get almost an inch more ground clearance. And the car's the same. That's what you need to know. So do you want the look of the off-road and maybe just a tiny bit more clearance if you go up to the cabin or you go up skiing, or you want the option for all-terrain tires, or it's just a design thing? And it's sort of the top model. You do lose a little bit of range. It adds about $1,500 on top of the fully spec'd EX30, which is already $10,000 too expensive in our market, I think. So they need to really knock 10, 12 grand off these things like they're doing for Polestar 4. The fact that this is more expensive than Polestar 4 is not, that doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But they'll get the product structure right when I think they have enough product to sell. They've been fairly limited in numbers in the US. I don't see them too often. My dealer never has any in stock. They sell when they get there. So maybe the pricing's fine, but ignore the pricing for a second. I love the EX30. It worked. I drove it, leaned on the systems the whole day, never had a problem with it. It started up immediately every time. It didn't shut down on me like it did when I first initially drove it. It was really a solid experience. You can see in these video clips, I'm sliding it a little bit, and that just takes a lot of like knowing how ESP systems work and trying to stay under the radar, because even with ESC off, it's more like ESC Sport. So they could have gone farther. They could have made it way more fun, but it's Volvo and they're a safety conscious brand. And at the end of the day, the car does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's safe for people to get to where they want to go. And it's such a premium and positive driving experience. I love the EX30. And I could see me getting one day as a little grocery getter. They are just awesome vehicles. They're just priced too high.
Yeah, they are great little cars.
So this is a really great clip. Like you were talking about, you learned some things about short form video from influencers. Like just watching this clip, you're talking through it, and then the ending, it's like perfect. Like you couldn't do a better ending than that. I think that was just amazing, Kyle.
I shot that with I don't know if I'm around here for Christmas. My dad got me those Ray-Ban glasses with the cameras in them, and so I've been shooting a bunch of POV content. I got to tell you though, it weirds me out when I talk to people who wear them, because I'm like,
right,
are you recording? Because they're supposed to have a light, but I heard that you can disable the light somehow. And I'm like, I don't know if I trust. So I'm always like super like just by the book whenever I'm talking to someone with those. So if you ever run into me and you're wearing them, do one of those.
Yeah.
And,
well, when
a real conversation.
when you came over here last year, and I popped over to Portsmouth to come and see you, and you were with Roman from TFL. I was halfway through the conversation with him. We were talking about YouTube videos, and then I realized you're wearing the glasses with the cameras, and it really threw me. I think I even like paused what I was saying to be like, "Are you Rick? No, you're not." Like, what? It felt weird, but anyway. It was. I'm sure he wasn't recording because who wants to record this? Talking Volvo, fun fact. I was talking on the podcast EV News Daily this week about a new diesel plug-in hybrid coming to Australia. It's going to be a Ute, and so I gave myself a quick fun fact quiz of what diesel plug-in hybrids have been released in the past, because there's not many. And
Not many.
I could come up with
mostly
Mercedes-Benz
stuff. Yeah.
E-Class and S-Class, and then GLE,
Yep.
C-Class, maybe GLC?
GLC, diesel. Yep.
And one Volvo came as a plug-in diesel. Did you guys get the V60 back in the day? Plug-in hybrid diesel.
No, we never got a diesel Volvo.
No, we don't get
There
diesel
you go.
here.
Plug-in hybrid diesel from Volvo. Who knew? There aren't many,
Amazing.
but the Chinese are going to be making a plug-in hybrid diesel Ute, which when I read the specs, because it'll tow 3,500 kilograms and it's got a 1-ton payload and it's got all the specs that the combustion cars would have, and you think, if they'd launched diesel E-Revs to America rather than F-150 Lightnings, I wonder if people would have gone for them or not. But
Yes.
I don't, diesel's a big deal for you or not. I don't know, but
Well, it's just that I think we all like the sound of a diesel, at least I do. But
Yeah.
also talking about plug-in hybrids, I should, just to be fair, because I drove it and I should probably say something about it. As part of this Volvo program, I drove the XC90 plug-in hybrid, the new refresh one. We don't need to talk about it on this show. I am an XC90 apologist. They killed that car in the best way possible. It looks great. It's 11 years old now. You see that in front of someone's house, you know they're okay financially. Nice people, well-off people drive XC90s. They just look great, and reasonable people drive them. And now it looks a little bit better. It has the extended range EV platform, which means the rear axle is electrically powered. In EV mode, you can go to the kickdown switch. It doesn't kick on the engine, so you can get full power in electric mode, which is nice. And it has one pedal driving as a plug-in hybrid, which is something Volvos do on their PHEVs, which is kind of nice. Other than that, the EX90 is clearly the car we'll talk about on this channel, but it's just a nice plug-in hybrid. It's very similar to the drivetrain I have in my Polestar, so I was very familiar with it. And I love XC90s. They're just great cars.
is it AC
Maybe people will
charging
plug this
or
one in.
is it DC charging on that?
It's only AC charging on it.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's better not to block a DC charger.
Yes.
Don't go down that rabbit hole. But
Toyota RAV4 now offers DC charging on their plug-in hybrid,
yeah,
but not if you buy the performance one. If you buy the
of
top spec, you
course.
just get AC charging. But if you get the normal one, then you can get AC and DC charging. But
Of
you know,
course.
every RAV4 owner is going to find the one free DC charger and be DC charging their plug-in hybrids left and right.
Yeah, right. Right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, talking Cybertruck. Stick around, back in a mo.
The Batteries Included podcast is sponsored by EVChargingStations.com. If you drive an electric vehicle or you're planning to, this site is packed with comprehensive charger reviews, detailed DC fast charging graphs, and the latest news from all of the fast charging networks. You'll find real-world testing, easy to understand comparison, and deep dives into how different electric vehicles actually charge. Before you buy an EV charger or plan your next road trip, make sure to bookmark EVChargingStations.com and make smarter charging decisions.
All right, welcome back to the Batteries Included podcast. Let's get into the Cybertruck deal then. So, Tom, you have had a lot to say about the Cybertruck over the years, including when you had one for a period of time, and you said it just made you smile all the time, and it made you happy to drive one. Would it make you happy to drive this one? Dual motor, all-wheel drive, not premium all-wheel drive, starting at $59,990. Now, the price goes up in 2 days' time. Also, the design studio has been pushing out the deliveries to the end of the year, which the Tesla blogs have all interpreted as it's sold out. I would point out you can write anything you want on a website. They could just deliver none of them for 6 months. But that obviously won't happen. That's not proof that it's been popular, or maybe it is. Has it been wildly popular? So it's got the power tonneau, it's got the offload power. It comes with Vehicle 2X and all the power share stuff at $59,990, but only for 2 more days. Tom, would it tempt you into a Cybertruck? Ah, you're on mute.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No worries.
That's a great deal. It's a whole lot of truck for $59,990. You know, I mean, if you really want a Cybertruck and it's out of your budget, I mean, they slashed 20 grand off of it. I mean, that's, you know, and they didn't really cut out too much. So, you know, I mean, that's they can't be making money on it. I mean, if they can sell this at 20,000 less, then they should be selling the regular one at $69,990. You know what I mean? So that this has to be something just to stimulate some sales. They can't make money on it. So it's a great deal if you're looking for a Cybertruck. I actually ran a poll on X about this, and I asked, you know, now that there's this low cost option, would you consider buying one? And I got 200 responses, and the answers were yes, this makes it work, seriously considering it, still too expensive, or no, I'd never buy one of them. And I got 17.6% of the people said yes, this makes it work. Another 19.6% said I'm seriously considering it. And then you got the 11.6% saying it's still too expensive, and 51.3% saying I'd never buy one of them. So, that's not terrible for Tesla. That, 37% either said, yeah, this makes it work, or I'm seriously considering buying one. So, I mean, it's fantastic. I don't know how Tesla's doing it at that price without losing money. Maybe they are losing money. Maybe they just want to get more of these things on the road. But and as far as the sales, like you mentioned, we don't know how many they planned on making. How much time Tesla allocated a production run for this, and that could be that they're getting a bigger demand than what they expected, which is why it's going to be longer. Or like you said, this could have been planned all along, and no matter how many they sold, after 3 days, they're going to say, oh, we're backed up months now. Everyone's buying these damn things. You don't know. So, but I think it's a great move for them to move the metal. And it's if you want a Cybertruck, this is just I don't know how you pass up on this.
Kyle, you did a thing on bits with this, didn't you? Looking at the deal?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, they really didn't take much out. Little worse sound system, air suspension's gone, but it's set to standard ride height. You can get some great aftermarket wheels to kill these ugly things, and you're ready to rock and roll. I mean, my good friend Drew, his Rivian's coming off lease in a couple months, and everyone knows Drew, he owns Martian Wheels, and he loves his Rivian. He was going to buy it out after the lease or lease another Rivian, and he loves his R1T. He and I agreed they're some of the best trucks on the market. And this came out and he's like, done deal. I'm buying it. And he literally, as soon as it came out, went in and ordered it because it's 10 grand less than the cheapest R1T. And this is a way bigger battery than that offers. The cheapest R1T offers a 95 kilowatt hour LFP pack that has a bunch of problems staying calibrated. This is a 123 kilowatt hour NMC pack, doesn't charge the best, doesn't have the best range. You can forgive that at under 60 grand or right around 60 grand. So it's an awesome value. I know so many people are styling obsessed or politically obsessed, and that dictates their decision to buy a truck. But as a working vehicle, when you decide you want to drive electric, this is now the best deal on an electric truck. And by the time this goes live, it's just 1 day left, right?
Yeah.
So, it doesn't matter. I don't know what they'll raise the price to, but I can tell you from the messages that I've received and some of my friends who have gone for them, Drew being one example, I think they sold a lot of these.
They should have. It's a fantastic deal. Think about it. A Model Y Performance costs the same as this. I think it's $500 less for Model Y Performance, which is a fantastic vehicle. I'm not putting that down, but think about the cost to make the Model Y Performance and the cost to make this. If you're Tesla, how could they be selling at the same price? This truck must cost Tesla nearly twice what it cost to build a Model Y Performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say what their cost structure is on them. I would agree with you, Tom. I think the Model Y, though, is, probably just in terms of volume, they can just get the cost down so low on those vehicles. I bet this is cost. That would be my guess. I don't know, but man, it's a deal. And I was tempted to get one, but honestly, we've done the Cybertruck thing on our channel. There's not much. It's not like it has a new battery or a new drivetrain. It still gets the dual lockers. It's got all the stuff, but we've produced all the content we need to on our side, and it's not worth it there. But it is worth it for just general consumers who need a very comfortable electric daily driver that also can tow, that you can also put the family in, that you can put anything in the bed with the front trunk that's safe and has, if you subscribe to it, very good driver assistance. You might get flipped off driving around, just tint the windows.
Yep.
Yeah, and it just drives so well. The steer-by-wire and the four-wheel steering, it drives so much smaller than what it is. It really, that was one of the things that I think I liked the most about it, was how it drove like half the size of a vehicle as my Lightning. Could just compare parking and maneuvering and making that K-turn in my driveway at the top of my landing. It's so much more maneuverable than my Lightning, as a comparison. Now, I know the GM trucks also have rear wheel steering. That's going to help them maybe bridge the gap. But the combination of the steer-by-wire and the rear wheel steering is really fantastic.
And the suspension change is what stood out to me. So to decontent a vehicle, to put a blanking plate over something and take something out is something. But to then re-engineer it to a different type of suspension told me when they launched that this wasn't the end of Cybertruck, because when it was immediately followed up on X with, hey, but only for 10 days. Some people interpreted that as, if nobody buys this, that's the end of Cybertruck. But you don't go about re-engineering the vehicle if there's not a future for it. So
they didn't. Because this is the same suspension from the rear-wheel drive that they canceled.
Oh, I didn't know they had this suspension. So, okay, so they had the parts, they had the supplies, they had the supply chain, they had the engineering to do it. Okay, well,
that's my understanding. Is it's the same adaptive damper, basic coilover system. The rear-wheel drive, by the way, was more decontent than this. No tonneau cover, no power export. Again, single motor, XYZ, and it was 10,000 more.
Yeah.
Well, this is one hell of a deal.
I still don't think that's this is not the end of Cybertruck. If anything, they've got the runway, if they want, to sell them at a loss, which Chinese companies have been doing for years to gain scale. If they just wanted to prove a point and sell them at a price which is too hard to say no to, they've got that runway. They've got enough, effectively money in the bank. They could, if they wanted to, sell them at cost, just to build scale, just to say, we told you so, if they wanted. And
I just wish there wasn't a political stigma associated with Cybertruck, because that's its major problem. It is
I get it.
Such a cool vehicle, but so many people just would never even consider going near one. And I'm sure a lot of our audience can assimilate with that. And they just like, you know what? You can make that thing free. I won't even touch it. It's unfortunate because it is a great vehicle to drive.
Yeah.
As an owner of one, other than mine having its problems, now that they're kind of sorted and dialed in, I would love another one to live with every day.
I've had
a lot of people just don't like.
Go on, Tom.
A lot of people just don't like the styling as well. Like, I drove yours. It felt good to drive. I liked a lot of things about it, but man, I don't really like looking at it. I would take a Hummer over that any day of the week, all day. So much. I enjoyed driving the Hummer a bit more. Even I know you love the way this drives, and it probably drives better than the Hummer. But I just love the fun that I have. It puts smiles on my face. Like it's kind of stupid, but
yeah, the Hummer's amazing too. I mean, 3 windshield wipers, stands up at the moon when you floor it. It has super slow rack, but you're just always at the limited tire. It's great.
Both cars make me smile, and I will give you guys a little inside pool. Michael Roush, he was on the Eastern Edge. One of my teammates. He has, amongst many cars, an Omega Hummer EV, and I came this close to buying it 2 weeks ago.
Oh.
This close, where I had the money all set up. I was going to fly down there and drive it home. And then there was a reason why I ended up not getting it. And I don't really want to talk about that yet, which I will talk about in about a month or two. I'm so disappointed because I was so psyched to bring that thing home. And if you don't know what the Omega Hummers are, GM sold them in 2024. They just put a ton of stuff, everything you could possibly put into it. Plus, they gave it an external spare tire in the back, a special color, special badging. Oh, just little stuff. Nothing too amazing. And they only sold about 1,500 of them. And it has this really cool ice blue matte color that I love on the GM vehicles. And so we were locked, we were good to go. And then I found out something, the fact that it doesn't have the GM's vehicle to home capability. GM didn't put that in the Hummer until 2026, 2025 or 2026, 2026, this year model. It was the last of all the GM EVs to have that vehicle to home capability. And that's something that I'm going to do some videos on in the future. So I needed it to have that. And I didn't realize it. I thought they added it in 2024. I don't know why I had that in my head. I know it didn't have it at launch, but I thought they added it in 2024. They didn't add it until this year. And when I literally was like days from buying it. And then I found that out. I was like, damn it. But anyway, that's my Hummer story. I almost bought a Hummer.
Wow.
Hey, Kyle, can I break up a thing for a second real quick? So you just put a video out from a few weeks ago at the King of the Hammers event. Were there any Hummers there? I saw Cybertrucks. I saw a lot of Rivians, but I didn't notice any Hummers. And it looked like the perfect kind of place to drive that thing, you know?
Yeah, didn't see one.
Wow. I mean, it's like,
yeah,
that's crazy. They don't have like the, you know, like there's like the big Hummer, you know, off-road groups, not Hummer, sorry, Rivian off-road group was there, you know, like en masse, and ton of Cybertruck. Why do Hummer owners not have like that kind of community here?
95% Rivian, 4% Cybertruck, and I was the Silverado EV trail boss.
Right. And they give you and Chevy gave you a Silverado. I'm just, man, I'm like watching that thing, and the Silverado
that's my fault.
held up.
I could have brought a Hummer. I didn't even think to ask for one. It didn't pop into my head. I don't know why, because now thinking back, of course I should have brought a Hummer. But I was like, I was thinking, okay, I could bring a Rivian. I could probably get one. Everyone else is going to have a Rivian. I could get a Cybertruck. Tesla works with us. Everyone else is going to have one of those too. And I was like, what else is there? And I was like, oh, there's the Silverado Trail Boss or Sierra AT4, which I kind of haven't done that much with. And I'd like to have another go. Big battery, super comfy. And you know what? I'm glad I brought the Silverado because it was surprisingly good on that trail. It just suffered from the breakover angle, and I knocked the running board off on the right side, and just like the bracket on it, as you do off-roading. And but other than that, it was totally fine. And I brought it back to Chevy, and I'm like, sorry about the running board. They're like, oh, damn, we thought this thing was going to come back in a million pieces. So I guess I didn't send it hard enough.
They didn't give you big knobby tires on it though either. They look like pretty like street kind of tires, didn't they?
No, they're Goodyear Territory ATs. That's an all-terrain.
Oh, really?
It's just such a big truck. It makes everything else look so lame.
Right.
It's a 35-inch all-terrain.
Okay. Really?
Did it have Max Pack, the one you had?
Yep, Max Pack. Yep. It was a nice truck. I mean, it was loaded up. We drove all the way out there, charged up on a DC charger, did everything. We spent the whole day off-roading. We used about, I think, 9%. It's in the video. Of the whole day off-road. And the Rivians had used maybe 20 or 30. One used 50%. One of our Cybertruck buddies, we used 9. Yeah. And I was ripping around the sand dunes, doing everything with it. We had a blast. Wow. It's nice to have a big battery. That's too big of a vehicle to off-road. The Hummer would be way better in a situation like that. And it wasn't until we got there that I realized, oh, Hummer exists. Why? It's one of my favorite vehicles. We've taken it off-roading. Why did I have the brain fart not to think to take it? I don't know.
A bit better ground clearance, right? And even bigger tires.
Yeah, maybe, but
they
it's
even
definitely
bigger
got an
tires?
air suspension.
Sure it does, doesn't it? Yeah.
I think it's on 35s. It could be 37s.
Okay. I think it had air suspension though. It's got
List
big cans.
30. No, GMC Hummer EV comes on 35-inch, 305 70 R18.
Okay.
And then Silverado EV Trail Boss tire size. Let me just check. It's like a 35. Yeah, same.
Yeah. All right. Hey, look, let's move on before we go. A few weeks ago, the internet's attention was captured by Donut Labs, promising a battery almost too good to be true. Cells that would last 100,000 cycles, operate between minus 30 Celsius and 100 degrees Celsius, which is, boiling point of water, extremely high, and be 400 watt hours per kilogram. Each of those achievable in battery, and actually all of those things exceeded individually in the world of cells, but not in one. They described it as a solid state cell with no lithium involved at all, and they promised proof in time. This week they put out their first of a weekly series of videos, like a soap opera. Domenick, we handed this one over to you because you've got more patience and less cynicism than I, and you approached it with an open mind. So what did you see, and were you convinced?
Yeah, well, I believe I am the naive optimist of the group.
No, not naive, but very kind, optimistic person on this podcast.
Well, yeah. So I watched it. Actually, there was two videos so far. So the first video, which I expected would have had the test results, was just a video from the Donut Labs CEO, Marco Letamaki, mostly complaining about skeptics and naysayers in the media not believing the company, and some calling it a scam, and he was kind of upset about that, and put a whole video about it, which is doesn't really move the needle in a positive direction for me personally, but it is what it is. He put it out there, but anyway, so this week they did put out an actual video, and we're watching it now. If you're looking on YouTube, there's some actual footage of it. So this features charging tests of the cell, and they were performed by the VTT Technical Research Center of Finland, which is an independent and completely legitimate organization. It showed cells being charged at 5C and 10C with single and then double heat sinks attached from 0 to 80%. So at 5C, it charged in under 10 minutes, and at 10C, it charged in under 5 minutes, which it's kind of like the numbers they were giving us for 0 to 100, but this was a 0 to 80 test for, I guess that's basically the standard charging regimen that maybe VT would have. I guess at one point they did let's turn this off and go to the report. At one point, they did stop the charging test because it reached 90 degrees. And some people interpreted that as, okay, that's kind of how they where the typical NMC cell would also kind of shut off, because that's a threshold, a heat threshold for that kind of a cell. But like LinkedIn, somebody mentioned this on LinkedIn, and the Marco, the CEO, was saying that was more due to the VTT software. It was kind of set up to do that because it was set up for traditional lithium cells. So I can give them a pass there. But also other people are very skeptical of this whole thing, because it also has the same charging curve as a lithium cell. The different chemistries of a cell gives it a certain footprint, if you will. So this is like 3.3 volts up to 4.3 volts, and when you follow the curve, it's like very much like a lithium cell. So there's some people with PhDs out there in battery chemistry saying this is probably a lithium cell, and no one's taken it apart yet. And so I don't know. I think there are more tests to come, but I think it just makes sense, really, unless you're it's your job to look at this, like kind of, I feel like it is mine. I would just like sit back and wait and let the test roll in and until it's all over and done with, because, you know, it could be what they say it is, and maybe it's not what they say it is. You know, we've seen massive frauds perpetrated on the public before. Theranos comes to mind. That was, you know, multi-billion-dollar situation there, I believe. And I'm not saying this is a scam. I don't know if it is a scam. I'm going to wait for all the tests to come out before I can make up my mind. But, you know, that's what some people say, and people have the right to say what they want to say. You know, there's lots of smart people out there, and I'm not going to disagree with them. But I'm just going to wait until all the proof is on the table. We'll look at it, and, you know, and that'll be that, basically. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense.
That's reasonable, I think.
Right. More than reasonable.
That was way more reasonable than I thought you were going to be, Dom, which means it's got to be sketchier than.
Yeah.
I really thought you were going to be like,
mean,
trust these guys.
I mean, no. I get bad vibes. Like, I don't like the way their approach to like putting out this video. And his brother, who runs Verge Motorcycles, you know, they started the two companies together. They make the in-wheel motors. He put out, I think it was a LinkedIn post, just talking about. I think they had some press come into one of their sites or something, and they were escorted out, and just, which is fine. You can talk about, you know, things like sometimes the media does bad or stupid things, you know, and you can talk about, but there's just something about the way they talk about it and just the way they interact, you know, with people. I don't get great vibes. I mean, to be really honest.
So let's look at the alternative. Let's say this truly is breakthrough technology, and it is legit. Let's just assume what they're saying is correct. Is what they're demonstrating measurably better than what NMC can do? Because we've seen the CATL. What? It's not
LFP
the chillin. No, but yeah, they're LFP Shenxing Pro. It's 12C charging. I mean, that's peak rate. It's not all the way through, right? It's not 12C across the thing, but that's pretty impressive. And that's from CATL, which is, I mean, yes, Chinese, but still a pretty trustworthy company.
Yeah, and so this is smaller. They advertised at CES something like 125 watt-hour cell. The one they provided this company were 93 or 95. Again, if you've developed a cell, you haven't got multiple different ones like just sitting around, because they said that it's in the Verge Motorcycles that's on sale in Q1. Well, it's March on Sunday. So you got 4 more weeks, and then we'll just tear them apart. So we'll see you in 4 weeks' time. But there's so many inconsistencies. I am now of the opinion that these guys are just here for the ride, because they're just going to go down in flames. I mean, they're just having a good time. The cult of personality. Like, Elon's a superstar for being crazy. I now think these guys are just here for the ride. They're like, let's just keep it going, boys. This is amazing. That's my opinion. They're having a good time, and aren't we all?
So you think they're like the guy that's claimed he shot a Bigfoot and he had it in his freezer, and, you know, eventually had to thaw it out, and he knew eventually he was going to be found out, but at least for a week, everybody wanted to talk to him and look at the thing in the frozen box of ice. You know, they're not asking for money.
No, they are.
Are they now? Okay.
Yeah, they've asked for between 30 and 50 million within the next few weeks to move them to the next stage.
Okay, I didn't see that. Sorry, I should know that. So
no, it was an investor.
They had been saying that whole scam. We're not asking for money. You know, so okay, so now that's another flag. You know,
they've promised a 10x return if you do a seed round or whatever it is. They're a 10x return in the next 18 months. Part of the investor letter that went out. So so that's even that. You know, they're having a good time.
This test that they put out, you know, that at the 11C rate, it reached 90C. I know Dominic said 90 degrees, but it was 90C, which is 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's hot.
And that was with one heat sink. They said it required no active cooling.
Yeah.
Okay. So then when they put 2 heat sinks, it hit 63C, which is 145 degrees, which is still pretty hot. You know, and then the 5C rate with 1 heat sink was, I think, 61 C, which is 143 Fahrenheit, and with 2 heat sinks, it was cool. It only went up to 23 C, which was about 74 degrees Fahrenheit. So no active cooling, and it's hitting these numbers. We know nothing about the 100,000 cycle claim, which is
Right, they did it twice, 3 times.
yeah. So Martyn talked about a lot of the specs that other batteries that are on the market claim to reach now. None of them claim to reach 100,000 cycles with like less than 10% degradation or something like that. The 400 watt hour per kilogram, that's achievable, but it's still top of class. And the 99% of the battery capacity at negative 30 C, which is negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit, it still has less 1% loss of energy at negative 22 degrees Fahrenheit. If anybody out there drives EVs, we know what kind of a hit they take when it gets below 30 degrees Fahrenheit. When it's 0 C, they're talking negative 30 C with basically no loss in range. And all of this together, no active thermal management needed, 100,000 cycles, 400 watt hour per kilogram, 99% capacity at negative 30 C. I mean, you put all that stuff together, maybe they're going to show us videos where they're going to show each. Maybe this was the 11C and 5C video. And maybe next they're going to have a lab say that we did 100,000 charging cycles. We started this 2 months ago, and we just keep charging it, depleting it, and their claim is correct. Then the next one's going to be another lab showing 400 watt hour per kilogram, and then finally, in a lab with a freezer down to negative 30 C. Maybe we're going to get one at a time, and it's all going to be proven. But it's so hard to believe it. I mentioned this when we talked about it on the podcast a few weeks ago. I've been doing this a long time, guys, as long as anybody. It doesn't make me smarter than Kyle, who's been doing it maybe half the time that I've been, doesn't make me know more about cars than him or anything like that. But I've seen so many of these things come out since 2008 when I started this EV journey. So many companies where I was like, holy shit, this is it. Like ICE is dead. And then, some are scams. Some of them prove that they just, they were 99% of the way there, but that last 1% was an unachievable goal. So the thing just never made it. Is that where they're at with this? Are they really close? And they think that with this extra funding or whatever, they'll solve that last problem that is, making it not work. I'm really curious to see, but it could be what Martyn said. They're just in for the ride.
I'm convinced. I'm convinced.
So, I don't know, but it's wild.
Too late. It's too late to pull out. It's too late to pull out now. To pull up.
But guys, just for a second.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
Imagine it's real. Okay?
No, it's not, Tom. Stop it. Stop it.
I'm dreaming. I'm
not
hoping.
real.
Imagine it's real. Think of what this does to the industry. Think of what this does to all of the car companies that are, have their next generation of EVs out there. Like, we just did a big thing and everybody talked. Ford just announced some of the information on their next generation truck. And they talked about why they're using LFP and why they're lightweighting and everything. Like, just think if in 2 months from now, it's proven that this thing is real and they can scale it and they can build an 80 kilowatt hour battery pack. Like, that Ford's, who's going to buy it? Who would buy an electric vehicle 2 years from now if it didn't have the donut battery? Who would, it just, every car company needs to just completely start from ground up and start a bidding war on sourcing this battery. It's, that in itself makes me believe it can't be real, but
Even if it is everything they say it is, I still think so. I think there's still room for other chemistries and other in the industry. Sodium batteries are still going to be cheaper. Just coming into the market now, they're going to be like $40 a kilowatt hour. I don't think this comes down to that level yet. I think this is still going to be, even at scale, this is going to be more than that. And so, for low cost cars, and this is the early days for sodium, it's going to improve in different respects as well. And then at the other end, there's companies looking at 650 watt hours per kilogram, and there's like even more energy dense. Maybe they don't have all the other specs, but there's still, for certain applications, there's still room in the market for other formulations besides like this 400 watt hour per kilogram, 100,000 cycle battery at whatever it's going to be, like $75 per kilowatt hour, which is probably kind of where regular lithium-ion batteries are, which is where they kind of say they're at scale.
I disagree. If this thing is real and it can charge at 11C, has 100,000 cycle life, 400 watt hour per kilogram, and loses 1% of its energy at negative 30C, there is no room in the market for other batteries.
There's not.
Unless
this would be it.
Special use cases.
What do you say, Kat?
I just think it's like watching a murder show unfold.
I love it.
It's just, I'm glued
So
to
good.
this whole situation. I don't care what the outcome is. Honestly, it would be great if it's real.
Yeah.
I can't imagine a scenario in which it is, but I would love it if it is. I would support everything, but it's just fascinating to watch these guys dig themselves a communication hole. Like,
I'm going to bring
their comm strategy sucks.
Yeah, it does. I'm going to bring this down to earth before we say goodbye. I promised I would show this before we went. This is from Chinese social media called Weibo, and this is the new 1500 kilowatt BYD Gen 2 flash chargers. So that box, which is, if you're watching the video version of the show, the first box labeled number 1 is the power electronics, and then you got the boxes labeled number 2. That is the integrated storage, so 400 kilowatt hours, 4C rated. Battery buffer hooked up to anything between a 2 and a supercapacitor for instant charge and discharge, hooked up to anywhere between a 200 and 500, I think, kilowatt grid connection. But then the actual dispenser is a 1500 kilowatts, 1.5 megawatt passenger car charger. Forbidden fruit, my friends. We can't get this. Forbidden fruits.
Don't worry,
but it's
Martyn. The people here don't want it, but this would
No,
be
they don't want it.
They don't want it. But this would be my overnight charging solution. I would love
this. Look at that. Giggity. Giggity.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I'm off for a cold shower, having seen that. Thank you for watching and listening, whatever you've been doing while you've been watching our podcast. We really appreciate your company. Leave a comment on the YouTube show. Best place to find us over the course of the next 7 days. If you hit like, that really helps other people just like you decide if they like us. It just recommends it. So hit the like and subscribe is useful as well these days. And we would love to see you again in the comments section or anywhere on our social media channels. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you again very soon. Hey, Dom, say ciao.
Ciao.